Nice. So we talked about three darshanas, Charvak, Jain and Bodh since morning. And we also practice the technique Vipassana given by Buddha. And I will go to talk about the Vedic darshan. So as you said, there are six Vedic darshan. I will talk about them one by one. I think the sitting arrangement has to be changed every day. So those who are sitting together on one day should not be sitting on the next day. So yeah, that has become an attachment now. No, but then your well-being is not ensured. I am concerned about your well-being. Yeah. So if you look at the Vedic philosophical systems, the Sanskrit word Shat Darshan refers to the six systems of Indian philosophy. So generally they are called as Shat Darshan. So basically Shat is six, but when it combines with some other word, some Vyanjan, it becomes Shad. So Shat Darshan, six philosophies. So they are Sankhya, Yoga, Purvimamsa, Uttarmimamsa, that is Vedanta, Nyaya and Vaisheshik. Each of these systems differs in one way or the other in terms of its concepts, phenomena, laws, and dogmas. It is important to know. It is important to know that these Astic Darshanas believe in the authority of the Vedas. Due to the mutual complementarity with each other, the six systems constitute the three pairs. So basically, there are six darshans. The common thing is that they all acknowledge the Vedas. No, no, see, you have to pay attention here, otherwise it will go in vain. So they all accept the authority of the Vedas, and they can be seen in pairs because their acceptances, if you see, are almost similar. So like Sankhya and Yoga is studied together. So Sankhya is giving you the philosophical part, Yoga is giving you the practitioner part, how to practice it, how to make it happen. Then Purvimamsa and Uttarmimamsa, both are Mimamsa. And similarly, Nyaya and Vaisheshik. So these two philosophy are also studied together. So Sankhya and Yoga are complementary to each other in terms of theory and practice. Purvimamsa and Uttarmimamsa are complementary to each other since the former is based on the ritualistic portion of the Vedas, that is the Karma Kand, and the latter is based on Upanishads, the Gita and Brahma Sutra, that is Gyan Kand. So mostly if you look at the Purvimamsa, it mostly has rituals, various practices. If you look at Uttarmimamsa, that is Vedanta, and Gita is the text for that. So it has the crux of all the darshans, right? So in Vedanta, if you see, the knowledge part is more emphasized, the Uttarmimamsa. In the Purvimamsa, the ritual part is more emphasized. Uh, that could be some kind of doing, but rituals mean that we keep on doing and again. We may not be following, but we are doing. That could be there. So, for example, yajna, havan, offering of uh, some certain things to deities, these are all rituals. Visiting temples, worshipping in a particular manner, dressing in a particular manner on a particular day, all those practices become rituals, right? So in every tradition, you'll see that some rituals are there. Similarly, Nyaya and Vaisheshik are complementary to each other since the former is rich in epistemology and the latter is rich in metaphysics. So Nyaya and Vaisheshik, if you look at the Nyaya, it is the logic system that developed in India, right? How does logic work? All of these systems have been brought to fore by a seer, often called Sutrakar, that is the composer of aphorisms. So it has always been shared or written by some seer in terms of shlokas and small poems, right? Shlokas are there. And shlokas are like writings in two sentences. Shlok, shlokas, yeah, yeah. So they are composed of various shlokas. So initially, if you see in all our texts, we'll have two liners. In Gita also, if you study, there are two liners, and they're studied together. Okay, pardon? Like poem, like Doha, we have no of two lines. Yeah, like that only. Which is that? Nyay and Vaisheshik. Nyay and Vaisheshik. Vaisheshik. Yeah. From Vishesh, it has come to Vaisheshik. Vaisheshik. Yeah, Vaisheshik. So Sankhya and Yoga are studied together. Purva Mimamsa and Uttar Mimamsa are studied together. And then Nyaya and Vaisheshik are studied together. Right? So we'll study Sankhya and Yoga presently. Now the seers and their works are as follows. So if you look at the six philosophical systems, the seers are like this. So Sankhya has been written by Kapil, and the work is Sankhya Sutra. Now there might be one or many also. Like it may be the case that somebody originated this philosophy, somebody compiled it, somebody made it popular. So all those possibilities are there. So like Sankhya is ascribed to Kapil. Similarly, Yoga is ascribed to Patanjali. But it said that Patanjali himself wrote everything is not the case. There has been a whole tradition of Yoga Darshan, right? Patanjali was the one who put everything in one place and then practiced it and communicated to the masses. Similarly, Purva Mimamsa is for Jaimini, who write Me Mansa Sutra. Uttar Mimamsa is Vedant, which is ascribed to Vadrayana, all called Ved Vyasa. Now here also, we may assume that there is only one Ved Vyas, but basically Ved Vyas is a post, a designation, and there is a lineage of people, right? So you'll find Ved Vyas existing in multiple traditions. So how can the same person live for thousands of years? So they will see that it is a designation given to person, right? So the person who is given that designation and the person who basically wrote this is Badrayana, and he has written Vedanta Sutra or Brahma Sutra. Nyaya Darshan is ascribed to Gautama, who wrote Nyaya Sutra, and Vaisheshik for Kanad Muni, who wrote Vaisheshik Sutra. Kanad, Kanad Muni, he's called as Kanad Muni. So they are basically Rishi or Muni, who wrote the texts and made it available to the society. So initially, if you see, this was being practiced for a long time. There were several seers associated with this, but it was mostly going verbal. Initially, if you look at it, we were not writing the texts. It was a verbal tradition, Shruti. There are two traditions, Shruti and Lipi. So initially it was Shruti, means listening. So they will be chanting the shlokas and the mantras and people will be remembering, right? And it was going tradition by tradition, malab, generation by generation. At some point of time, they felt the need for writing it out. So they wrote it so that it does not get lost, isn't it? Now, even today, if you see, the Constitution of England is verbal, it is not written. The Constitution of England. So, even that today, that tradition is continuing. There are certain things which are not in writing. Now, there are also incidences when invaders came to India and they tried to burn the libraries. People went to the library and remembered everything. All that was possible in that short duration. So that the books may be lost, but our memories will remain. Okay. So the Shruti has been a parampara, has been a tradition in our country. Fine. Now we can talk about Sankhya. The term Sankhya is interpreted by its exponents in various ways. Some suggest that the term is derived from the word Sankhya. So if you look at Sankhya, it is very similar to Sankhya. Sankhya is number, right? Meaning number, and thus it signifies a system of thought that describes itself in a systematic and analytic enumeration of the principles consisting of the reality, the existence. Some scholars derive the term from the verbal root khya. Khya means to see, right? So in Sanskrit, you will see that there are some very basic terms which are termed as roots. So the most basic term is Om. So they say that every word came from this Om. Right? This is the primordial sound of existence. So in every tradition, right, you will see that this Om is being chanted. So Kya with the prefix Sam, which denotes an idea of philosophical reflection, and ultimately it signifies a system of thought dedicated to the reflection on the distinctness of pure consciousness and matter from each other. So basically, you can see that they are also trying to see the reality. Khyam is to see the reality as it is. Now, to whatever extent they could see, they have shared in that philosophy. And some means right, tick, correct, right way of seeing. Now, there also, Buddhi is also saying right perception, samyak gyan, samyak ditti, right? All those. Samyak. Yes. Mahavir is also saying samyak. Okay, samyak gyan. Look at the things as they are. Sankhya is also saying samyak kya. Look at the things as they are. So every philosophy is asking to look at the reality as it is. Now, while seeing the reality, there may be a mistake. And then while after seeing the reality, you're putting some word, and then you are conveying some meaning, and then it is coming to tradition, and there could be a lot of confusion and contradiction here. So we have to go back and see correctly. If we do not have the human tradition on this planet, either there was mistake in seeing or interpretation of word in terms of meaning, and it has not come to living because we are not prepared to do that, isn't it? So many times we'll see that up to here there may not be a problem. The problem comes when we are not able to live accordingly, because we do not have that priority for right understanding in life, do not have priority for right feeling in life. So even though the whole proposal has come rightly, we are not able to live accordingly. This could be a case. It could be a case that the proposal came wrongly. The observation was not correct or complete. Okay. The word which was coined did not denote the right meaning. And ultimately, when it came to the people, it was not conveyed with the right meaning. So it could not come to the right living. That is also a possibility. So have to keep it open and then keep on observing. So if you look at the core issues here, so traditionally attributed to sage Kapila, so Kapil Muni has given this. The texts are Sankhya, Karika, and by Ishwar Krishna. It is the most authoritative surviving text. So basically, Kapil Rishi gave it, but Ishwar Krishna has formatted it in the form of text. The nature is, if you look at it, it is dualistic and realistic philosophy, focusing on understanding the principles of reality. So dualistic means it talks about Purush and Prakriti. So two kinds of reality, right? So it is dualistic and realistic philosophy. So they are talking about the reality, and they are trying to focus on understanding.
Sir, here. So can you explain about dualistic, sir? What it is?
Two distinct realities, consciousness and material. That is dual.
Material and self again.
Consciousness.
Consciousness.
So they are using the word Purush and Prakriti. Purush is consciousness, Prakriti is material. It is atheistic originally in the sense that it does not postulate a creator God, though later theistic versions appeared. Now you can see the variation here. So now when we are using the word astic, it is not for atheist or theist. It is for accepting the Vedas, right? So it is said that initially there was no acceptance of God in this tradition, but gradually it was accepted. And God primarily as the creator. Then the basic tenets, if you see, the word Sankhya means enumeration or number. It refers to the enumeration of the basic principles or tattvas of existence. So it accepts two eternal independent realities. One is the Purush and the other is Prakriti. Purush, that is consciousness, is the witness, the passive, unchanging, pure consciousness, the observer. Prakriti, the nature of matter, is the active, unconscious principle, the source of material world. Right? So here, we have to make it clear when they are saying Prakriti, then like human being is a part of Prakriti or not. So essentially, we can say that this Prakriti is only, if the material, then it is only the body, not the self, right? Now look at the tattvas. So 25 principles, 25 tattva they have said. So Sankhya enumerates 25 tattvas, which are the elements of existence. What are they? So Purush, the pure consciousness, plural, many Purushas exist. Then Prakriti, primordial matter, unmanifest. From Prakriti evolves Mahat, that is Buddhi, cosmic intelligence. Then Ahankar, ego principle, sense of I. From Ahankar evolves these three sets of elements based on three gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. So Sattva is the light, harmony. So 5 Gyanendriyas, that is the senses of knowledge. 5 Karmendriyas, organs of action. And 1 Manas, mind. These are 11 elements. If you talk about Rajas, the activity, the energy, it acts as the catalyst for change and movement. And if you look at the Tamas, the inertia of the darkness, there are 5 Tanmatras, subtle elements, sound, touch, form, taste and smell. Right? 5 Mahabhutas, gross elements, ether, air, fire, water, earth. And this makes 25 tattvas. Is it fine? Yes. So we'll look into this again. Yeah. 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 So there are 3 gunas that we can observe. So Rajas, Tamas and Sattva. So if I'm like excited, it is Rajas. I'm depressed, it is Tamas. But if I'm in equanimity, it is Sattva. I'm in harmony, it is Sattva. So he'll say that we can categorize people. And yesterday we talked about calibrating people, no? So if you look at this Sankhya Darshan, they have calibrated. The people are of 3 kinds: Rajas, some Tamas and Sattva. So some will have Rajasi Gun, some will have Tamsik Gun, and some will have Sattvic Gun. Or even in one person, we can have the 3 kinds of gunas. Yes, yes. So which one? Mahat. Yeah, Buddhi, cosmic intelligence. So they're saying Buddhi is also an element. Pardon? No, Buddhi. Okay, Siddhi is one kind of skill that you acquire. Yeah. So for example, whenever you enter the class, everybody becomes silent. This is your Siddhi. So something which marks your quality or something that you can do. So I can walk on the water. This is a Siddhi. Okay, I can know what you are thinking. This is a Siddhi. This is a skill we can acquire. Pardon? Yeah, ego, now if you look at it, basically ego is the unguided intellect, buddhi. So he, like ahankar, ego principle, the sense of I. So basically what is being said is that if I do not understand the self as it is, I feel myself different from others. I feel that I am separate, you are separate. Right? So that is ahankar. So ahankar has multiple connotations. One is that the buddhi is unguided. One is that I see my separatedness from this existence. I am different from the existence. The third is the over evaluation. Okay. So this I-ness is being termed as ahankar here, the ego principle. So this word ahankar in Indian tradition has been used in multiple ways. In the Western tradition, ego has been used in multiple ways. Right. Now what we are saying in UHV is ego means over evaluation. Okay. But where does this over evaluation come from? If I am not able to see the other with the feeling of love, I feel that the other is different from me. Otherwise, with the feeling of relationship, I can see that it is completely similar to me. Yes. Not leading to sattva. Yeah. So presently we are in the state of ahankar. Yeah. Now so when the self gets, let's say, enlightened or gets disillusioned, then the self will be in the state of sattva. But here again, if you look at sat the way it is explained, so it including the 5 gyanendriyas, 5 karmendriyas and 1 manas, mind. So like whether you are in harmony or not in harmony, these gyanendriyas, karmendriyas and manas are working. Only that the manas will transform, but the gyanendriyas and karmendriyas will remain as they are. So if you look at the structuralism, they were making structures of various sensation and then how we are perceiving. So it was called as a structure. Here also, if you see, they are enumerating various elements of existence. What all is there? So basically, two Purush and Prakriti. Going further, 25 elements. So Purush, Prakriti, right, and then Mahat, Ahankar, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Well, it will need, right? If you want to go deeper and further, we can read about all this to get to see the actual meaning of the words being used here. Then the theory of evolution. So Parinamvad. Evolution happens due to the interaction between Purush and Prakriti. Prakriti, being in equilibrium of 3 gunas, that is Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva, becomes disturbed in the presence of Purush, leading to the evolution of the world. So basically, Prakriti is already in equilibrium, right? But as the Purush gets involved, right, then it becomes disturbed. But ultimately, the Purush, the self, the consciousness has to develop. Concept of gunas, if you see, everything in the universe is made of 3 gunas: Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So Sattva is purity, knowledge, and harmony. Rajas is activity, passion, and energy. Tamas is inertia, ignorance, darkness. The balance and imbalance of these 3 gunas govern all changes in the universe. So the postulation about existence, if you see, so there is Purush, there is Prakriti, and there are 3 gunas. Then the epistemology, like the science of knowledge of Pramana. So Sankhya recognizes 3 Pramanas, that is means of valid knowledge: Pratyaksh, Anuman, and Shabd. So there we could see that in Buddhism, there are only 2, Pratyaksh and Anuman. In Jainism, there were initially 3, and then it became 4, right? And in this Charvak, there was only 1, Pratyaksh, and that also external. So here Shabd Praman is accepted. So in all the Vedic traditions, we'll see the Shabd Praman is accepted. Then concept of liberation, that is Kaivalya or Moksha. Now here the word that is used is Kaivalya. In Jainism, you could see that there is something called Keval Gyan. Keval Gyan was there, no? I am able to see the ultimate reality. Here the word that is used is Kaivalya. So many times when you talk about realization, people have questions like, is it similar to Kaivalya? Or is it Nirvan? Or it is Mahaparinirvan? Or it is Moksha? Right? What it is as ultimately. So people are trying to say that ultimately you can have completeness of knowledge of existence. Yeah. 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 So if you look at the three gunas, so here they are. So Gyanendriya is there, Karmendriya is there, Manas is there, okay, Rajas is there, Tamas is there. Now, now the gross elements are here. So everything is in equilibrium. Now the self comes into picture. When the self, the Purush comes into picture, the deluded self, that creates an imbalance in the nature. No, no, no. Purush. Yeah. So when Purush recognizes the pure nature, okay, yeah. Here, so in the presence of Purush, yeah. Then the concept liberation. So Kaivalya or Moksha, liberation is the realization of the difference between Purush and Prakriti. Now, if you look at it, now, yes. Now confusing between Purush and Prakriti is the source of multiple confusions. That is, assuming body to be the self, assuming material to be the consciousness, right? So liberation is essentially a realization of the difference between Purush and Prakriti. When Purush recognizes its pure nature, distinct from the evolutes of Prakriti, bondage ceases. So if I'm able to see that I'm not the body, I'm different from the body. This is something that we are proposing here also. In Sankhya also, they are saying that Purush and Prakriti are different. Consciousness and material are different. But the deluded Purush, okay, assumes itself to be the Prakriti, the material. And then the problem arises. Liberation is to be able to see the difference. Ji, you are saying something?
Talk about this kinetic energy, potential energy, and equilibrium energy. How we matching with this, Bhaiya?
No, basically, in physics, we are not talking about equilibrium energy at all.
Hmm.
Okay. In physics, we are only talking about activity.
Okay.
So that is either potential or kinetic or chemical or whatever. All this is activity.
Hmm.
Now the space, if you see, space is equilibrium energy,
Hmm.
no activity. It
No
means it
activity
remains as it is.
as
So
it is.
equilibrium.
Okay.
This is different. This is not equilibrium of space.
Equilibrium. Okay. Purush and Prakriti. What energy we can say? What
Both are activity. Now Purush, if you
activity?
see, then it could be in the state of Rajas, Tamas or Sattva.
Purush. Okay.
The self can be over evaluating, under evaluating, or rightly evaluating.
Rightly evaluating. Okay.
Right?
Prakriti.
Prakriti, if you see, it is in balance already, but we are creating the disbalance. Material.
Material.
Yeah. So we are creating the imbalance in the nature. So when Purush recognizes its pure nature, distinct from the evolutes of Prakriti, bondage ceases. No need for God's grace. It is purely a matter of discriminative knowledge. Vivek. So they are saying that it's not going to happen by God's grace. Somebody will not enlighten you. Now this is something similar to what Buddha is saying, what Mahavir is saying. So one is considered as orthodox, somebody is considered heterodox, but ultimately they are talking about knowledge only. So it is not going to happen by somebody, some mysterious entity's grace. No, you have to work for it. You have to enlighten yourself. You have to liberate yourself.
Sometimes we are detaching soul and body. Sometimes we are attaching soul and body. Why? In your lecture also, sir.
So
5 minutes
we are
before
not
I was.
attaching anywhere. See, where are we attaching? In this formulation also, Prakriti and Purusha are different, right? Buddha also never said that the self and the body are the same. He is only saying that there is no soul, anatta, and he's saying how sanskars are made. Okay, but the clarity of difference of self and body is not much there. So he's saying that okay, the body is there, sensations are coming. I am giving some sangya, some meaning to the sensation. So sanskars are getting built, and I have to get rid of sanskar with vigyan. This is what he's saying.
Soul only it is experimental. We are not able to visualize the soul. Whether body is, we are able to view our soul, and even doctors are able to visualize our body. So we know and we can do any experiment on top of the body. Whereas in soul, we are not able to do the experimentation.
Very interestingly, okay, how do you make out that you have a body? You say, I have a body. You don't say there is a body and I am the body. You say, I have a body. It means you have that deep acceptance that I have the body, I am not the body. So who is that I? Yes. Now, what we are saying that by using the word soul, there might be confusions. So you are saying the self. Whether you call it soul or you call it jeev or you call it something else, right? You have to make out. Or purush. So no need for God's grace. It is purely a matter of discriminative knowledge, that is Vivek. View on God, Ishwar. Classical Sankhya, Kapil system is Nirishwara Sankhya. It does not recognize a creator God. Later forms like theistic Sankhya incorporated Ishwar to reconcile with Yoga Darshan. So there was a classical difference between Yoga and Sankhya Darshan. Yoga was accepting the existence of God as the creator. Sankhya was not accepting. So later they accepted. But if you look at Kapil Muni, he was not accepting. Now, relation to yoga closely related to Patanjali's Yoga Darshana, which adopts Sankhya metaphysics but adds Ishwar and practical methods, yoga for liberation. So the criticism of Sankhya is that denial of God was criticized by Vedanta and Nyaya. Plurality of Purushas led to the question, why does one Purush get liberated while another remains in bondage? I don't think why this question has been raised. So basically they are saying that, okay, so one human being gets liberated, why the other is not getting liberated? But with it is our conscious efforts. The person who is making conscious efforts will get liberated. The person who is not making conscious efforts will not get liberated.
But why this process of getting into the suffering and get liberated by it?
In fact, there is a share by Galib, Mirza Galib. Okay, so the share is that when I was not there, God was there, right? Or when if I am not there, again God will be there. So this God has made me sink. If I was not there, then what wrong would have happened to the world? तो ना कुछ था तो खुदा था, ना मैं होता तो खुदा होता, मुझको डुबोया होने ने, ना मैं होता तो क्या होता.
By this karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga, three na Raja yoga va. Apdi or yoga varatira, Raja yoga vara irukka. Now what we are doing here is jnana, getting a knowledge to understand. Karma and this bhakti, devotion, total devotion is also a way, because I don't want to think anything on my, it's completely believing this will work and going in a way. How this karma yoga will work?
Basically, if you look at it, it's very interesting. Now, here when we are talking about self-exploration, we are talking about all the three yogas. So, activating block B1 is Gyan Yoga. Ensuring right feeling is Bhakti Yoga. And here we have Karma Yoga. Behaving, working and participating. So we are saying that we have to do all the three together. Having a right feeling. Why for a particular deity? Right? For the whole humanity. Let me have the feeling of love and compassion towards all. So this is Bhakti Yoga in true sense of the word. If I am saying that you are only mine, nobody else is mine, this is not Bhakti. Right? Bhakti means I am able to see my relationship with all. So when we are doing self-exploration, trying to ensure contemplation, understanding, and realization, this is Gyan Yoga. When I'm trying to work for undivided society with a feeling of relationship, this is Bhakti Yoga. And Karma means we are participating, we are trying to do production for fulfillment of the needs of the body. We are working for human system, a human order, human society, isn't it? So this is Karma Yoga. So we are doing all the three together. And for health, we are doing Raj Yoga. So for health, we are doing Raj Yoga, doing exercises and all those things. Now again, if you look at Raj Yoga also, it will take you to that height. Yes. So this was about Sankhya philosophy, Sankhya Darshan. Now comes Yoga Darshan. So Sankhya and Yoga are often described as two allied systems of philosophy. Patanjali defines yoga as chitta vritti nirodha. So if you look at Patanjali Yoga Sutra, very precise, very concise, very specific, very clear. The first shlok is Ath Yoganu Shasanam. Ath Yoganu Shasanam. Ath means now. Okay. Let us talk about yoga. And this is the method for yoga. And then he said, what is yoga? Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is the nirodha vritti of chitta. Then he says, what are the vrittis of chit? So he describes all the vrittis of chit. Then he said, how to go for nirodh? Then he will also explain various ways of nirodh for vritti of chit. And shlok by shlok, the whole process is very systematically clear. It is worth reading. In fact, you can read that. So yoga is the strength of the mental operations, chitta vritti nirodha. Now, one thing to be clear is that it is nirodha. So generally, like initially, when this language was being used, nirodha was to get emancipated, okay, to get free from the clutches. It is not to suppress, right? So essentially, it is not restraint, but to be liberated. Patanjali has outlined the scientific ways and methods of controlling the mental modifications known as Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga aims at the final state of spiritual absorption through 8 folds, the 8 limbs of yoga. So what he is saying, that yoga is restraint of the mental operations. Mental operations are the vrittis of chitta, right? So what are the mental operations that we can talk about? So what is the method? It is the 8-fold path, the 8 limbs of yoga, right? So these 8 limbs of yoga can be divided into 3 sets. Initial 2 are moral disciplines, then middle 3 are external disciplines, and the last 3 are internal disciplines. So the yoga system accepts 3 fundamental realities, namely Ishwar, Purush, and Prakriti. So they have included Ishwar also here. Space, yeah. Or the primordial matter. Now Patanjali says that scriptures are the sources of the existence of Ishwar. Ishwar is omniscient and is free from the qualities inherent in Prakriti. Ishwar does not have the Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva. The Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva gunas are there in Purusha or Prakriti, but not in Ishwar. So Patanjali names some obstacles to the path of yoga, and they are called antarayas. So what are the antarayas? Antarayas. So there's a 9 antarayas. Very interesting to study. We'll go over them one by one. Pardon? Okay, very nice. So they're already teaching this. Okay. So the Indian schools are being taught. Nice. So if you look at the 9 antarayas, so it means what are the obstacles? Now, if you look at these obstacles, you can find out what is holding you back from realization. Okay. What are the obstacles for me as a person? Can I observe this? You are able to see from here? You are able to see now? So one is vyadhi, illness, the physical disease that weakens the body and mind. Okay. So the physical diseases, right? It could also be some kind of mental disease, like some kind of problem in the brain or something that could also be there. So the diseases. The second is Tyan, mental lethargy, lack of mental enthusiasm and stagnation. So some inertia there, stagnation. Why should I do all this? So it is all good. It's better that it is there in scriptures. Keep me aloof. I am fine with me. Why should I invest myself for that? That is Tyan. Sanshaya, doubt, uncertainty about the power of the teacher or one's own ability. So doubt means, okay, I'm attending a workshop, but will this lead to mutual happiness? I don't think so. So let me go and do something else. Again, I'm doubting whether this will lead to a right program. I don't think so. So every time we are trying to attempt something, but we have a doubt inside whether this will succeed or not. This is doubt. Then comes pramad, carelessness, negligence, lack of mindfulness, lack of discipline. Okay. So I'm full of certain otherwise thoughts and I'm not taking care properly. So that is pramad, this way or that way. So it means I try one way, then I leave it, I try another way. This sunshine is I'm trying one way, but I always carry some doubt. Is that clear? So I'm going by something, but I'm doubting it. Pramad means confusion, this way or that way, what to do. Then alasya, laziness, aversion to effort, reluctance to practice. Okay. So alasya, it's good that I need to get up in the morning, but leave it. Yeah, in fact, this is very interesting. If you observe these 9 antarayas, one can look at where I'm stuck. What is holding me back? Then avirati, sensual indulgence, over attachment to sensory pleasures and material pursuits. Yeah, if you look at this, so these 6 basically in the beginning are for the beginners. So those who initiate some process and they are actually in the initial part of the development. Now the next 3 is something like who have moved to some extent, but still they are caught up. So Bhranti Darshan is the false perception, misunderstanding or misinterpretation or the practice of philosophy. So it is the misunderstanding or misperception. So one is trying to explore, evaluate, live accordingly. Okay. But taking something to be something else. So one is sincerely working, but Bhranti Darshan. For example, a very crude example would be observing a lotus flower in the sky. It is not there, but one may assume. Similarly, when we are talking about all these details, one may assume something to be something else, self to be something else, okay? Happiness to be something else, relationship to be something else, trust to be something else. That is Bhranti Darshan. Yes. Yeah. So even if I am working sincerely, I am assuming something to be something else. Misconception. Then alabdha bhumikatva, failure to attain stages. Now, what is the meaning of alabdha bhumikatva? So bhumi is floor. Alabdha means it is not accessible to me. So I'm not able to touch it. So every time, so you'll see that there are stages in our process of development when we are not able to cross certain thresholds. So for example, I'm getting reaction inside. Okay. I try sincerely for that, but I tend to react. I'm not able to see that feeling of trust. I'm not able to see the intention of the other rightly. I'm just near it, but I'm not able to see it. I'm trying hard. Yeah, less competent. Yeah. So I'm trying hard. For example, I'm trying to touch the floor, but it's just beyond reach. I'm not able to touch it, though I'm very close to the floor. That is called alabdha bhumikatva. And then is anavasthitatva, instability in the practice. So anavasthitatva is basically I'm not able to sustain it. I'm not able to sustain it. So inability to maintain progress once achieved. So regression or relapse. So I'm having right feeling for some time, but again I come back. I'm very consistent for some time, again I come back. I'm participating very sincerely for some time. Yeah. So this is my current state. So sometimes sensation is pulling me down. Sometimes my thought is pulling me down. Sometimes my desire, some craving is pulling me down. Right? Sometimes my lack of readiness to see the reality is pulling me down. Right? Now I have to make out from myself where I'm caught up. So, pardon? See, ultimately, I have to ensure my state as pure observer. Now you can just see how many moments in a day you are a pure observer and how many times you get caught up in sensation of preconditioning. So that will help you know. You are talking about this alag bhumikatva or anavasthatitva. This one, na? Ah, okay, failure to attend. Yeah. Yeah, so we are not able to cross the threshold. So it just happens, no, that it may be the case that you are trying to decide at the level of expectation without clarity. This could be also possible. For example, I may decide that from tomorrow I'm not going to eat anything sweet, right? But sometime I fall and I prey to that. Why is that happening? Because when I'm deciding that I will not eat anything sweet, I'm not deciding what I will eat ultimately. See, if I'm not deciding my program and only trying to avoid something, this will not lead to resolution. Many times, like in the morning sharing also, I can see that people will be saying that I was reactive again. I am planning not to react ever with this person again. Not planning or planning not to react is not the solution. If you don't react, how will you respond? That is the solution. That you have to make out. For example, I may decide that tomorrow onwards I'm not going to have tea, but the body requires something after being exerted. So if I'm not having tea, what will I have? I have to decide that. If I do not decide, what will I have in place of tea? And body is needing some energy, and the tea is there in front of me, I can go again for tea. So many times we try to avoid something that is not acceptable naturally, but do not select something that is acceptable to me naturally. That is the biggest problem, isn't it? So that is the point where I have to take a decision. That is the point where I have to work on resolution. Avoiding something is not the solution. Picking the right thing is the solution. In fact, when you say evaluation is not judging that, oh, I was wrong here. No, evaluation is placing the right value there. So if I'm evaluating my relationship, just saying that I got opposed to this person, this is not enough. If a position is not acceptable naturally, what would be the feeling of relationship in that situation, which could be mutually fulfilling? To that part, we do not do. It's just like the meeting got over and then we do not document. Okay, enough. Just observing that this was reaction is not enough. If this is a reaction, what is the response? I have to do that, kind of operation within me that I have to accomplish, which I'm not doing. So one assignment for today would be that you observe these 9 antarayas and then try to find out where you are getting stuck mostly. Pardon? Yeah, there also what is retarding you more, that we can observe. Pardon? Yeah, situation also. Which situation is uh, promoting what kind of retardation? So the associated symptoms would be when these antarayas are active, they manifest as dukh, suffering, distress, dor manasya, depression, negative thinking, ang mejayatva, restlessness or instability of the body, and shwasa praswas, disturbed breathing, irregular inhalation and exhalation. So he's saying that when we are not happy within and these are active, then we may have all these problems. So we are saying no, that what are the abnormalities in the behavior. So this will appear according to Yoga Darshan. So dukh would be there, dormanas would be there, ang mejayatvad will be there, and then shwas prasas problem will be there. So how to overcome this antarayas? So Patanjali describes methods to overcome these obstacles. So one is abhyas, consistent practice. Consistent practice. So persistent effort to steady the mind. Then vairagya, detachment, non-attachment to results and distractions. Then cultivating positive attitudes, maitri, karuna, mudita and upeksha. Then regulation of breath, pranayam to calm the mind, meditation on one principle, ek tattva abhyas. Yes. Renouncing, yeah. No, in fact, if you look at it, basically he's saying two things, abhyas and vairagya. Abhyas for that which is doable, vairagya from that which is not doable. Yeah, so that is fine. Vairagya is that. It is fine. Yes. So I will completely abstain from it. See, if something is not ensuring right understanding, I'll abstain from it. So abstention. What? Yeah, so strong hold for something that I will not go for it. For example, one may conclude that drinking is not good for health. So vairag would mean I will not drink ever. Yeah, so fine. Same, same. Same only, same only. You are abstaining for drinking. Someone is abstaining for drinking, abstaining from some practice. Take a mic. Take a mic.
According to the example what you have said, Baya, not to drink is my goal. So what we were discussing, what doubt we had is, if the result is non-attachment to the result, that line, that is what we got confused there. Non-attachment. But
Yeah.
the concept, what the example what we have used, that states that the result, we are so much attached to the outcome.
Yeah.
So if I say non-attachment to the outcome, it is totally different, right? My outcome is I should not drink again. If I say attachment to result, then the outcome is satisfied.
Yeah.
If non-attachment to result, then the outcome is totally different, right?
Yes,
That
yes,
that
yes.
is where.
Then cultivating positive attitudes. So he says that there are 4 positive attitudes: Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, and Upeksha. So Maitri means having friendly relations with all. Mudita means, Karuna means compassion towards all. So Maitri, है ना? Having the feeling of trust, respect, affection with all. Karuna, compassion, working for well-being of all. Mudita, being happy inside. And Upeksha, equanimity. So whatever may happen outside, ups or downs, okay, I'm not disturbed. I'm the state of upeksha. Okay. So see, yeah, basically no. In fact, many people have talked about it in detail. So vairag, one meaning could be I'll not go for it. I am having a stern decision, I'll not go for it. So I may have craving inside, right? but that is not naturally acceptable. Essentially, vairagya means that craving is gone. Then only I am in detachment state. Otherwise, the same thing would happen. The professor, he crossed the shop for liquor and then he decided to have the liquor again. So if that craving is there inside, one may go for it again. For example, I may feel that I will not steal somebody's wealth. Now money is lying here. Okay, I am telling to myself, this is not my money. I will not take it, whatsoever be the case. But inside the craving is there that I should take this money, right? But detachment essentially means let it be there. It's not my not need it at all. So I may simply pass from here, right? And then pranayama is regulation of breath to calm the mind, and meditation on one principle. So at least one principle we can select and then we can practice it. This is ek tattva abhyas. Okay. So whether this time is there, or we have to conclude. Conclude. Pardon? Yeah, okay. So as an assignment for today, so we talked about the three darshans, Charvak, Jain and Bodh, and then we talked about Sankhya and Yoga. Yoga we have talked partly only. So for the first four darshans, you have to do the exercise of 8 points. Okay. The second thing would be, like we talked about these problems, and then you have to work out for yourself how it relates to you, right? This is another exercise. And the third would be you can practice vipassana on your own, okay, at home.
அப்படி பண்ணீங்கன்னா எந்த பிரச்சனையும் வராது யாருக்கும். வாய மூடிட்டு கம்முட்டு இருந்துட்டோம்.
Fine. So these are the three assignments. And then tomorrow we'll have the presentations. Yes.
So tomorrow 9 o'clock and bus is there arranged from Gindi.